Alberty. I'm the Executive Director of ChamberSOUTH, and we're here for another episode of ChamberSOUTH Spotlight. Today, I have the honor of speaking with Emily Cardenas from Dranoff to Piano Fusion.
That's right.
We'll get into that one in just a second because I want to know how the heck did you guys come up with that name? Because to me, it's very interesting, but I want to know all about it. But first, I want to know, who is Emily Cardenas?
Who am I? I am the executive director of this organization. I spent 15 years in television as a producer.
Where was that at?
In news. I started in Philadelphia, and here in Miami, I've worked at the Telemundo affiliate. I've worked at WFOR, and I worked the longest at WPLG Channel 10.
That is awesome, Emily. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did that, and then I worked also out for a PR firm for a few years, Hank Meyer Associates, at the height of their success. I also worked for 15 years as the director of communications at the Children's Trust. From its very beginning when it was voted into creation for almost 15 years. I did that.
Excellent. So you know some of that group as well,
I
like
do.
the Gloria Rojas, David.
Of course, yes, and I've worked, as a consultant for some, numerous non-for-profit organizations, including arts organizations. I was the executive editor of the Miami Times and the Biscayne Times newspapers.
Good, look at you.
And now I'm at Dranoff. No, it's been a long road. When I go through the resume, I was like, wow.
Yeah, it has been a long road, but it's a good road.
It is.
And were you born in Miami?
No, I was born in Hartford, Connecticut.
Hartford, Connecticut.
And I grew up predominantly on Long Island and attended public schools and went to Temple University in Philadelphia, stayed there for a few years. That was my first job in television. And then I relocated here. I've been in Miami for a little more than 30 years. And
what made you come down to Miami?
So I'm bilingual, and okay. I wanted to use my Spanish more. I'm of Cuban heritage, so Miami had a certain allure. And so I accepted this position at Telemundo, right, which was my first foray in Spanish language media, which was a very, really interesting transition for me, not having grown up here. And then... But then I went back to English.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I am also of Spanish descent. I'm Cuban. I was born in Cuba. But wow, when you've been here so long, I arrived when I was 1.5 years old from Cuba. And I think in English and try to speak in Spanish, and lo disparate que te digo are out of control.
Yeah, you have to be careful when it's not your native. It wasn't my native language. I learned it from my grandfather when he came to the United States in 1969 during their freedom flights. And so he came to live with us, and he didn't speak any English, and I didn't speak any Spanish, and so Grandpa taught me how to speak Spanish.
That's awesome. And you taught him how to speak English. So much. So tell me about Dranoff to, am I saying it correctly?
Dranoff.
Dranoff to Piano Fusion. What is it? How is it? How long have you been there? Tell me about this.
So interesting about the Dranoffs, we were talking about Connecticut. The Dranoffs were originally from Connecticut. Okay. And Loretta Dranoff, who's the founder of Dranoff, founded the organization as in tribute to her husband who passed away, Murray, and it was created originally as the Murray Dranoff Foundation. Right, in honor of her husband, and she and her husband were a piano duo, and they had an entire career as a very well-known piano duo in the United States and abroad. And so it was her dream to create a piano duo competition, an international piano duo competition, and she did that. And the competition, the Dranoff International Competition, Piano Duo Competition, was the first in the world, and it was here in Miami 40 years ago.
No way.
How it started. And, if people know what the cultural community was like 40 years ago in Miami, there was not a lot happening here, right? Long before the Arch Center, long before so many of the companies that are here today operating, and Loretta got quite a lot of funding from local philanthropy to bring this competition here, and she created it from nothing, and it became worldwide, very famous. Pianists came from all over the world to Miami for that competition, and it went on for quite a number of years, for many years. But then Loretta started to age and become ill, and she passed. I believe in 2011. And then Carlene Sawyer came on as executive director, and they continued the competition for a few years. But then, with the way things were advancing culturally in Miami, the funding for the competition kind of dried up. And so Carlene smartly decided that the organization needed to move beyond the competition and work to promote and present two piano repertoire. And so it moved in that direction. And so today we present two piano concerts surrounded many times with other instruments or merging with other art forms, hence the fusion. And so over time, the organization rebranded. Okay. And so now we go by Dranoff Two Piano Fusion because we're blending the two pianos with other art forms and other musicians. And we have an incredible arts education program in the schools called Piano Slam that blends music and poetry to teach kids how to improve their creative writing skills. And it's been infused with science as well. So it's a very interesting program in the schools.
That is incredible. Now, you tell me, when you just said you have a program with the schools, are you talking about Miami-Dade public schools? Is it private schools? Is it a school that only has music? Tell me about that.
It is with Miami-Dade County Public Schools, and the curriculum was developed with curriculum specialists. We have a couple of charter schools. Charter schools are not excluded, but no private schools are permitted to be a part of this program. It is predominantly developed for the public school system. And we recruit about a dozen schools a year. Some of them stay with us for many years. Others drop out, and we bring new schools in every year. We've served more than 100 schools in Miami-Dade County throughout the course of the history of Piano Slam, which has been around since 2009. And so we start with two piano concert in the school and
in the school. So the pianos are in the school.
We bring keyboards or pianos to the schools, and we do the concert in the school. That's how we start traditionally. But
that is awesome.
But there's so much more involved in this. We bring teaching artists to teach the kids how to write poetry, and music terminology has to be a part of the poem. And there's an annual theme. So next year's theme is Beyond Boundaries, for example, because we're trying to engage kids in thinking more on the science track instead of the English language arts track for this. And so we hope that they write about what's going on in the world outside of Earth, astronomy, science exploration, so forth and so on. But you have to use music terminology too. So the teachers that we recruit to have us go into their classrooms also instruct the kids on what the requirements are. And there's glossary, there's entire glossaries of terms that they can use. And then we go in and we do these 2 workshops, at least in these schools, plus the concert. A professional spoken word poet goes in also and performs for them so that they understand what the performing arts aspect of poetry can be, the spoken word element. And then we actually do have a poetry competition in January where kids submit their poetry, and according to the rules, the theme, and all of that. And then last year we got over 700 entries.
What?
Yes, and then
Over 700
over
entries?
700 entries. Yes, and then we select about anywhere between a dozen to 18 max finalists, and they get all kinds of performing coaching for a couple of weeks. We rehearse them. We create a whole show around their poetry, and then we perform it on a professional stage. We've been doing it for many years at the Art Center, but we're moving it this year to Actors Playhouse at the Miracle Theater in Coral Gables.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
So
Great theater.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it's like a 6-month process, really, from start to
So
finish.
is it a competition?
It is.
Between those 12 or 18 folks that are at the end?
It is, and 4 winners get $1,000.
4 winners get $1,000. That is excellent.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
It's an amazing show. You should come.
No, well, I'd love to be invited. That is incredible. So you got 2 pianos, they're playing, but also it's not just playing piano. It's all about poetry. It's about fusion with music or something else. That is fantastic because I see you brought me a nice piece of literature here with some pictures on it and everything. And I can see even some ladies performing, some young girls performing.
So
tell me about that.
We have some dancers performing next season. This season, I have to tell you, we just completed a show down at the Moss Center with Dimensions Dance Theater, talking about the fusion of music and dance. Right? I think it's a natural fusion. They complement each other brilliantly. Think of Miami City Ballet. They have live music.
Sure,
right?
Of course.
So we've been working on this collaboration with Dimensions Dance Theater for over a year, and we finally performed on July 11th, and it was spectacular, and everybody loved it, and everybody said we need to do more of that. And it's actually a vision of mine is to really do more collaborative performances with other organizations. I think it's the way to go in today's economy.
No doubt.
You leverage your budgets, you leverage your audiences. I'm definitely interested in doing more of that. So next season, we have a lot going on. Since it is our 40th anniversary season, we are going to be opening with a classical program at the Aventura Arts and Cultural Center.
Excellent.
In November, early November. And that program is going to also premiere a new chamber composition by composer Adam Schoenberg, who is one of the finest living composers of classical music in the United States today. And so we're premiering that. And we have 2 incredible pianists. And we also are bringing the Amernet String Quartet, which is FIU's, they're in residency at FIU. So we're going to have the quartet and these 2 pianists. That's in November. And
that'll be this November.
That'll be this
2026.
November, 2026. That's our anniversary show, our big anniversary show. And then in March, we have Latin 2 piano. Oh, no, February. I lie. February 5th and 6th. And that's going to be in Coral Gables at Sanctuary of the Arts. We have an incredible duo that we're bringing in from Madrid, Duo Scarbo.
Wow.
And they're fabulous. It's going to be classical music from Spain, but we are going to be fusing that with flamenco dance.
Love it.
And which is fascinating because, flamenco dance, most people think of flamenco as guitar. And that is, of course, the origins of flamenco is with voice and guitar. But we are going to be fusing it with piano. And there are certain selections that are in the show that are very Andalusian, right? From Andalusia, which is where flamenco, is the heart of Andalusia. So we have some pieces that have that Andalusian flair, and that's when the dancer will come out and participate in the show there. So that's going to be exciting in February 2027.
I got to say, I went to a phenomenal flamenco show when I was in Spain. And I will definitely be there in February to see that. Because I also see that, like you said, you have classical music, but you got string quartets, you got jazz,
and
you got
we
it
have
all.
Jazz. Yeah, we're going to be doing the jazz at Pinecrest Gardens, and that's going to be a total New Orleans jazz show, Bourbon Street Blues, I'm calling it. And we're bringing in this wonderful pianist from New Orleans. And, the sound of New Orleans jazz is his, that's his thing. So he's bringing that to us, and we're going to be surrounding him with an ensemble of musicians, including, Jean Cage, who everybody knows down here, a trumpet player, and many other wonderful musicians, and Nicole Yarling as a vocalist. So that's going to be a rip-roaring fun show in Pinecrest Gardens, and that's going to be in March. And then, of course, we've got Piano Slam in April, and who knows, we might add a couple more if we can. But the other exciting program that we launched last year is Pianos in Public Places, which is our attempt to bring piano music to the community in unique and unusual places where they might not expect it, where they don't have to pay for it. So we're bringing music to them instead of telling the folks to buy a ticket and come to us. Because I don't think enough people really know piano music or have experienced piano music.
No.
And so
I agree with you 100%.
And so we need to bring it to the people, and that's the plan with Pianos in Public Places. And we launched it at the Aventura Mall around Christmas time last year. And the shoppers were enthralled, stopped in their tracks. We did 4 concerts at the mall throughout the course of the day. They were short, like 30-minute shows every hour for 4 hours. And it attracted a lot of attention.
Wow, that is beautiful.
A lot of people who, had never seen anything like that before were thrilled. And so we are looking for other venues that, who knows, maybe the Dayland Mall will let us come in.
There's no doubt.
And
as a matter of fact, I'm going to introduce you to the GM of Dayland Mall.
That would be lovely.
So we can make sure that we look at that because they do have the space. They're always looking for something cool, new to bring in, for their shoppers to experience.
That's right.
And I think that is a phenomenal idea.
Absolutely.
And we'll make sure that we promote it in ChamberSOUTH.
Oh, I would love that.
To all of our members.
And the Underline, that's another area that I'm thinking about bringing it.
Place. Yeah. So it could be indoors or outdoors.
Absolutely.
I love it. Emily, tell me because you're a nonprofit organization like we are.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of nonprofit organizations out there. And there's a lot of budget cuts out there. How do you get the majority of your funding?
So we receive our funding from multiple sources.
Okay.
So from government grants, from foundation grants, and from philanthropists and small donors. Right. So you have to diversify your resources in order to be able to survive as a nonprofit organization.
There's no doubt.
That's why Give Miami Day is so important to us, right?
Exactly.
In November, so that we can raise a lot of our private dollars that way. But we also have some philanthropists that give us larger checks. But those are smaller. Those have become smaller
every year.
Every year, absolutely. So and that's why the referendum in November related to property taxes is a significant concern to the nonprofit community.
Incredible concern.
A major concern.
Because a lot of the folks don't understand that some of that money is slated for the nonprofit organization.
Absolutely. I mean, the amount of money that comes to nonprofit organizations that is funded by the county, it's a drop in the bucket to the county, but it's a lot of money for us. And so if the county loses millions and millions of dollars because of property tax reform, people are going to have to start paying the price for that.
Yep. We're going to pay the price one way or the other.
Yeah.
And it's just going to happen. And it's
Well, it might not happen.
Well,
I'm not convinced it's going to pass.
No, we're not convinced it's going to pass, but we're also always paying the price, whether we save it in property tax or we pay it in other services.
Well, there's no free lunch, right?
There is no free lunch, and that's the way it goes. But, that's why you have to continue to think outside the box like you're doing here,
right,
with all of these different, community events, I'm going to call them, which are phenomenal.
We were originally a classical music organization, but as a small organization, I mean, maybe the New World Symphony can survive, but as a small organization, just sticking to classical music was not going to cut it for us.
No, it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
It can't. Tell me about, let's say, I'm going to pick one. Let's talk about the one that's going to be happening in February, which is El Capricho Español. What does the ticket cost, more or less, so our listeners will know?
Yeah, so the ticket cost for that is, got it right here, it's $40 to $50, so it's staggered, depending on where your seat is. And students are $5 with student ID.
So it's very, even less.
It's very affordable.
It's like eating out one night, and you can have a beautiful show there. How long are the shows usually?
The ones that don't have an intermission are usually 90 minutes.
90 minutes.
And the classical program will probably be, closer to 2 hours.
Okay. If you ever did get two pianos like over at Dadeland Mall, you could do a 30-minute session or two 30-minute sessions?
Oh, we would do like what we did at Aventura, which would be we could do 4 30-minute
sessions throughout the day.
Throughout the day. So let's say a 4-hour block.
Okay.
4 or 5 hour block where,
Fantastic.
We would want to be there during peak traffic, right?
Yeah, of course.
So, which is what we did at Aventura. We were there from 1 to 5. And we did a show every hour, 4 times.
Excellent. What else do you want the listeners to know about Dranoff to Piano Fusion?
Well, I want them to know that we're a very creative and innovative organization, that even though we've been around 40 years, the art of survival is innovation, and that we plan to continue to do that and to provide the utmost artistic excellence that we can for our audiences, and that they should check us out if they've not checked us out before.
How do they check you out?
Well, they can go to our website, dranoff2pianofusion.org.
Okay.
And that would be the best way to check us out on our website, dranoff2pianofusion.org.
Well, Emily, it's been a pleasure having you here today, number one. And number two, I really want to thank you for being a ChamberSOUTH member. I think that by having you at our events and letting people know what it's all about, what your company's all about, what you're doing with the kids, what you're doing with the public schools, what you're offering to the community, it's important. Because this venue right here, this is one way that we can let the folks know what it is that Dranoff to Piano Fusion does. Because I never would have known all of it. I know because you and I have spoken before, but I don't know all the details here, and that is awesome. And don't forget that whatever you need for us to help you promote, we're here for that. That's part of your membership. If you need us to promote this for you, we could do that. Put it on a flyer, digital. We put it on our social media. We send out an email blast every 3 months for you. So make sure you know that we're here to help you.
Wonderful.
Get the word
we will
out.
take you up on that.
All right. When we say 3, we're going to say goodbye to everybody in that camera right there.
Okay.
1.